My dear student, I am welcoming you all to my channel. So in the previous session, we discussed about function of expectorant and emetic. That means that pharmaceutical inorganic substance to be used for the treatment of what are all the pharmaceutical inorganic substance like ammonium chloride, potassium iodide and copper sulfate and sodium potassium uh, tartrate. Here that copper sulfate and potassium iodide, copper sulfate Cu, what is the molecular formula? Copper sulfate and potassium iodide act as a emetic purpose, and expectorant like ammonium chloride and sodium potassium, not antimony potassium tartrate. In your syllabus you have sodium potassium tartrate. Okay, so this class we are going to discuss about one emetic and one expectorant. Like emetic, here what is the substance, pharmaceutical inorganic substance? Copper sulfate used as a emetic purpose, and sodium potassium tartrate are to be used for the treatment of expectorant. Okay, so now we'll see about what are all the, as per monograph we'll see briefly about copper sulfate. So synonym for copper sulfate, blue vitriol. Blue vitriol is I think it has like a sky blue in nature wise sky blue color, so it is otherwise known as blue vitriol. And what is the molecular formula here? 159.6, and this one molecular weight 159.6, and molecular formula copper sulfate in form of 5 molecules of water, that is CuSo4 5H2O. Then preparation, there are three methods of preparation are there, so it's very easy to remember the point. When copper oxide on acidification, or when copper oxide or cupric hydroxide or cupric carbonate in dilute, so all these cupric in the form of, what are they? Cupric in the form of cupric oxide CuO, and next one cupric hydroxide CuOH twice, that means cupric oxide or cupric hydroxide or cupric carbonate CuCO3. It's very easy to recall the point of method of preparation of copper sulfate mean. So in copper oxide or copper hydroxide or copper carbonate to be treated with sulfuric acid, so that the removal of water molecule, and immediately we will get the copper sulfate. Okay, so this is the method of preparation of copper sulfate. Here other than that of copper sulfate, mainly it is to be used for emetic, but other than that of emetic, it is readily dissolves in also used as a germicide, insecticide in agriculture. A molecular of copper sulfate and lime, commonly known as borax mixture, is used as fungicide. So it is used as fungicide. Then it is well in electroplating, calico printing and electrical battery. Then now let's see about properties. So properties about blue in color but anhydrous. I told you here it is hydrous formation. If we have water molecule to be attached with molecular formula of substance, means that is hydrous nature, and anhydrous means without water molecule. So here the anhydrous salt is colorless, it readily, that means that is the difference between so usually copper sulfate has blue in color if in case of hydrous nature. Okay, so but what about anhydrous nature of copper sulfate? Here the anhydrous nature of copper sulfate become colorless. So that is the difference between, in the lab itself also, if the chances or the if time permits, you may ask your lab technician to show you copper sulfate that will have maximum college has that copper sulfate in form of blue color. That means it indicates that hydrous nature of copper sulfate we will use for the experiment purpose, and anhydrous form of copper sulfate is it's mainly colorless, become colorless, and that indicates that there is no water molecule in the. Then properties I already discussed, it is insoluble in water. And next we'll see about assay. So how do you perform the assay means weigh accurately 1 gram of copper sulfate in, that means Cu for molecular formula CuSo4 in 50 ml of water, and add 3 gram of potassium iodide, then 5 ml of acetic acid titrated with liberated iodine, that and 0.1 n sodium thiosulfate. So using solution of starch as indicator, that you know already, you studied from that what is the difference between iodometry and iodimetry, that you may notice that it comes under iodometry or iodimetry. Okay. So where we are going to treat with iodine and titrated with sodium thiosulfate is comes under iod or iodo. So I think you have much more knowledge about that iodometry or iodimetry process method of assay. Okay, next we'll see about sodium. Next, we'll see the continuation of sodium, another inorganic substance used as expectorant like sodium, potassium tartrate. I told you ammonium chloride and sodium potassium tartrate to be used for the treatment of expectorant, as well as copper sulfate and potassium used for the emetic purpose. Here we'll see brief manner about potassium, sodium potassium tartrate. So here what is the molecular formula for C4H4NaK, that means sodium potassium and tartrate C4H4Na KO6 and 4 molecules of water. So it is the, what is a synonym? It is known as Rochelle salt, and molecular weight 210.53. It also known as Signeti salt or potassium sodium dextro tartrate. So these are the overall molecular weight, and so this is the molecular weight C4H4NaK O6 and 4 molecules of water. Okay, so next Rochelle salt. Next we'll see about next we'll see about we may write it as in the format also, like we already discussed in that what is the molecular formula. And next we'll see about properties. So it occurs as a colorless crystal, saline in taste, soluble in hot water and insoluble in alcohol. It is white crystalline powder, has slightly bitter taste and deliquescent in nature. So these are the properties. Once again let me repeat. So it occurs as colorless crystal, saline in taste. Saline in taste is nothing but somehow slippery taste while we are taking. Okay, that's saline in taste. Soluble in hot water, and insoluble in alcohol, and that means slippery and smoothy nature, that is known as saline in taste, and it is white crystalline powder and a slightly bitter taste and delicacy in nature. So these are overall properties about sodium potassium tartrate, and also it has pH range of 6.5 to 8.5 sodium potassium tartrate. Next, it is obtained by the reaction of sodium hydroxide on the crude cream of tartar, which is a byproduct of wine industry. That means, once again let me repeat, wine industry, it is obtained by the, where it is obtained by the reaction of sodium hydroxide, when sodium hydroxide with cream of tartrate or tartar, which is a byproduct of wine industry. Okay, so next, it almost insoluble in alcohol and ether. So here the conversion of sodium, this is the main method of preparation, that conversion of sodium bicarbonate. What is the molecular formula for sodium bicarbonate? NaHCO3. Then to sodium, conversion of sodium bicarbonate, which gives you sodium carbonate and removal of carbon dioxide and water. Next, that potassium bitartrate, that is cream of tartrate. I already told you that when sodium carbonate, so first, so what is the difference between these method means, first for we need sodium carbonate when we are going to treat with cream of tartrate. For that, first we are going to produce the sodium carbonate from sodium bicarbonate. This sodium carbonate to be used for the preparation of sodium potassium tartrate, so that this sodium carbonate where we are preparing from the sodium bicarbonate, this sodium carbonate treated with potassium bicarbonate, so we will get sodium potassium tartrate. So next we will see about assay. An accurately weighed quantity of the substance is carbonized in the porcelain dish. The residue is extracted with water and sulfuric acid. That means specified quantity of the substance carbonized in the porcelain, that means to be first treated with sodium carbonate, so that it is to be converting to carbonized form. Okay, next, that the residue is extracted with water and sulfuric acid. After carbonized with sodium carbonate, then it is to be treated with sulfuric acid, extracted with water and sulfuric acid. So the solution is filtered and the solution is washed with more, and the solution is washed with more water. Okay, so the filtrate and washing residue are continued and titrated for the excess of acid with N by 10 0.1 and sodium hydroxide using methyl orange as an indicator. So then now will you perform the assay overall. First the substance to be treated with carbonized, then it is to be treated with sulfuric acid. After that the residue, that means extracted with sulfuric acid. So the residue is filtered and the residue is washed with more water. The filtrate and washing residues are combined and titrated. Then again we have to take the both washings and filtrate which we collected from the beaker, known as filtrate, and washing residue, that means that where we will place the filter paper on the funnel, that through itself we are passing that extract known as washing residue. That washing residues to be treated 1 or 2 times with water, so that the excess of carbonized or sodium carbonate to be removed, and we are treating with extracting with sulfuric acid also, to be excess of sulfuric acid also to be removed by giving excess of washing on the residue, and the filtrate, after that the filtrate and residue to be combined, taken, and it is to be treated with 0.1 in sodium hydroxide using methyl orange as an indicator. So this is the overall perform of assay about sodium potassium tartrate. Then next characteristic, solubility 1 gram insoluble in 1 ml of water, insoluble in alcohol and ether. Next test for tartrate, so it passes the test, and test for potassium, it passes the test. That means we already how do you perform limit test for chloride and limit test for sulfate, or other than what is the purpose to conduct the limit test means, so in order to find out the impurities present in the given known substance, given unknown substance, so that by comparing with the opalacency or turbidity, we can find out the test with the standard solution. So here the test for tartrate, so likewise it passes the test, and test for potassium also. That means there is no impurity present in the form of potassium and present in the form of tartrate, means it passes the test. And next one likewise the same as that of test for sodium. Next loss on drying not more than 26% and not less than 21%. So these are all the test for characteristic, or we may say the test for purity. And next one, test for oxalate also. Add 3 drops of, how do you perform to find out whether the substance has oxalate impurity or not. So by doing this performance we can get know about whether the oxalate present or not. Add 3 drops of dilute acetic acid to test solution, and 2 milligram of calcium chloride. So test solution, and 10 ml of 10% solution of sodium potassium tartrate, which gives no turbidity protection within 1 hour, which means if we have in turbidity means that indicates you, or which will give you clarity about there is no more oxalate present as a impurity. Next test for lead also, not more than 2 milligram per kilogram. Next we'll see about what is the uses. So used in gas purification, in pharmaceutical industry, helps in maintaining alkaline pH. It is used in cigarette paper, delays the consumption of cigarette paper. See, especially this sodium potassium tartrate to be used for making the cigarette paper. So in that, in what way it uses on cigarette paper means, which will delays the consumption of cigarette paper. So immediately if we are giving that means if we fire on cigarette paper, so the paper will function slowly. That means it delays the consumption of cigarette paper. Okay, so it is also used to break up emulsion. That is one of the formulation you may study it under pharmaceutical substrate, what are emulsion and suspension under. So here the sodium potassium tartrate sometimes used to break up the emulsion. So one of the ingredients in also, these are all the uses. So main user, so it's very important one. It is used in gas purification, and second one used in pharmaceutical industry, and third one maintaining alkaline pH, and also it delays the consumption of cigarette paper, and next one also used to break up the emulsion. And next it is also one of the ingredient in biurate test, that copper sulfate. What is the composition? Copper sulfate, sodium hydroxide, and sodium potassium tartrate is the main composition of copper sulfate. to identify the concentration of identification, that is the main identification test for protein. And next uses, it is used as a ingredient in failing solution, like ingredient, one of the ingredient in copper sulfate, the same as well as it is the ingredient in failing solution test reagent used in reducing sugar and determination of uric acid. It has been used as in medicine. So next last one, it is to be storage. So it is to be stored in airtight container, then free from microscopic in nature. Okay, so I think that will give this session will give you overall idea about sodium potassium tartrate, and we discussed about, as per monograph, what are the molecular formula and molecular weight, properties, preparation, and test for purity and assay. So as per this is an format to write the inorganic pharmaceutical inorganic substance. Okay, thank you.